What is up, my friends? I am back, Justin here, and I know that it's been a month since I've done a video. That's probably the longest I've ever gone, and I've just been super busy. Same old, work, life, music, father befouled, and in confirmation leave for Europe in a week from tomorrow. Right now it's Sunday night. Hopefully I'm gonna go ahead and edit this and get it up ASAP. But right now it's Sunday night, about 11 o'clock. But I've been wanting to sit down and do a video for a while. I was telling my wife the other day, doing these videos is very therapeutic. I like sitting and talking about music and reminding myself of all these CDs I have and coming across bands that I haven't talked about or listened to in a long time. Anyway, let's get into it. We're listening to Mysticum. Demons Never Sleep. This is a bootleg of demos, I believe. The inside, just the one single fold out there. Join now in our quest for Planet Satan. Very glossy, very glossy book. Almost like photo paper. This is the only release I own from Mysticum, and it's the only thing I know about them, but god damn, it's so good. I remember seeing their name around for years and years, and like Into the Streams of Inferno, which I still don't own, and I've listened to it a couple of times. I need to get a copy of it. I remember for years and years there was talk of Planet Satan coming out, and that Mysticum were this industrial black metal band, and that was not something I was interested in. I got this CD in a trade, and it is so fucking nasty. This stuff, there's a tiny little bit of that industrial edge to it, but it is just otherworldly, fucking evil, nasty, disgusting black metal. And just pounding and just barbaric sounding. I fucking love it so much. I put this on a good bit lately and listened to it. But it's just perfect for just being in the dark. And, you know, when I do these videos, I have every light off in my room right now. I have a spotlight on my face, and I have a blue light behind me, but otherwise it's pitch black dark in here. And I love putting on some nasty, gross black metal when I'm sitting in the pitch black dark and talking about my CDs. So, anyway, we're going to get into it. First, Cult of Azazel, The World, the Flesh, and the Devil. I'm not a fan of Cult of Azazel. This was given to me to review, and my review for it is online somewhere. About 15 years ago, I started writing for a webzine called deadtide.com, and I wrote for them up until whenever they took it down, or we stopped writing for it anymore. But the website is still up, but if you just go to deadtide.com, you won't get to it. But if you go to one of the old links to a page on it, you'll get in through the back door. Anyway, Cult of Azazel to me was always kind of your prototypical American dudes trying to play European black metal. It's kind of Norsecore sounding, you know, just kind of your by the numbers, riffy, you know, leather pants black metal, shiny pants black metal. And I think that I listened to this a couple of times in order to form an opinion on it and write about it. I've never listened to it ever since. I mean, I don't know, man. They never did much for me. I can't tell you much about them other than that. Then we have Camos with Scales of Leviathan. Camos was a death metal band, kind of thrashy death metal band from, I think they were German, but I might be wrong. They might be Swedish. Does it say? This was put out on Nuclear Winter, which is Anastasis from Dead Congregation's label. I did a layout for him a couple weeks ago. Anastasis is a buddy of mine. Anyway, Camos. killer, riffy, thrashy death metal. This was an EP. This is the only CD of theirs I have. I think, all of their stuff on vinyl. They were active for a few years, didn't do much, but I always really enjoyed them. And, you know, even though you see Gustave Doré artwork everywhere, it works very, very well for this one. Scales of Leviathan, that's an engraving of Leviathan. So, Camos are awesome. Then we have 2 CDs by the band Kaiju. So, Kaiju, of course, is what Godzilla is. Kaiju is a Japanese, you know, monster, I guess. But my buddy Nev, some of you probably know Nev. He is an artist. Does lots of artwork for brutal death metal bands. He's a very distinct style. This very kind of creepy, cartoony looking style, depraved kind of cartoon style. This was his band, and I don't know who else was in it. This was one of these bands that was started when MySpace came out. It put people together, and a dude who plays drums in Denmark could hook up with a guy who plays guitar in Texas, and they could find a singer who lives in fucking Zimbabwe and create a band. And lots of bands were spawned from that MySpace era. And that's how this started. So Nev was the singer, and a guy named Joel did all the instruments. I have no idea who he was. But Nev I've known for years through death metal and music and artwork. But this was his band. And it was all like Godzilla and monster themed death metal. This one's, I don't know, maybe not. Spell of the Witches, Oath of the Pentagram, so maybe a little more evil. Feast of the Ancient Ones. It's called Unwilling Sacrifices. That's his artwork on the front, Nev's artwork. And who put this out? Slaney Records. I don't know who Slaney Records was. But I have not listened to this in years and years and years and years. But I'm also the type of guy, like, if I know someone, you're a buddy of mine on the internet or something, and I have your music, I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to hang on to it. I don't know, something I'm going to do. So this is also a Kaiju record. This is Total Monster Armageddon. I have never opened it. This came out on Shepherd of Rot Records, which was Nev's label. And I don't know if this came before or after the Unwilling Sacrifices, what appears to be an EP. But this is the one that is all Kaiju themed, all monster themed, I think. Lurking in the Depths, Kingdom of Spiders, Deep Space Crabs from Planet X. And then it's got 5 demo tracks on it. So I'll have to open that up and give it a spin, man. Alright, so next we have Kampf, KMPH, with Nothing But Wrath. This came out on Regimental Records. I used to get everything Regimental put out. When I first got into like underground death metal around 02, 03, Regimental was one of these labels that I latched onto. They're based out of New Jersey. And I would trade with them and buy their releases. And all of their releases always had really killer layouts, really well done layouts. And this was on like a matte stock, kind of a paper stock. And if I remember correctly, this EP was kind of like Judas Iscariot styled black metal, a little Dark Throne styled black metal. I have to throw this one on. I remember really digging this, but I have not listened to it in a long, long time. Then we have Karsten Hammer, Broken Whispers. I have no idea what this is or where I got it. Flood the Earth Records. Must have gotten it in a trade. Or I got it. It has a promo sheet in it. So I think I got this for review. But I don't remember reviewing it. It's dark ambient, it looks like. Which I like dark ambient stuff. I'll have to throw this on and listen to it. I have no idea. This guy might be like a big name in dark ambient. I don't know. It's all cool artwork, angels and cemeteries. I'm a sucker for that kind of shit. I'll check this out. Being in bands, plural, and having a label and a distro, you get lots of CDs. And I was one of these weirdos that whatever I got in, if I got 5 copies of something from a label and trade, I'd keep one of them. Now, did I listen to them all? No. But I've got them. I will never have any shortage of music if the internet fucking goes away. I'll always have stuff to listen to, so. Kevorkian's Angels with The Sound of Modern Hate. No idea, still sealed. Got this in the giant trade. I've talked about it in almost every video. If you're new to my channel, please go back and watch my old videos. I think this is going to be number 49 or 50 that I'm recording right now. So I've got 50 videos out there. I did a giant trade with a label years ago and got stuck with hundreds of fucking B stock fucking Z grade metal CDs. And back to my prior conversation, I kept one of everything. So I do not know what this sounds like. It could be grind, it could be like punk rock, it could be punk grind. I don't know. It's got a topless chick and a gas mask on the back, so there's no telling. Kevorkian's Angels. Then we have King for a Day. Focus. Lights blowing up. King for a Day with Before I Go. So King for a Day was a punk rock band. To the best of my knowledge, this is the only thing they ever did. They're kind of a melodic punk rock band in the vein of like Lifetime or Dillinger 4. This came out on Initial Records, and I've talked about Initial Records in several videos. Initial was a punk and hardcore label from Louisville. I think Louisville? Yeah, Louisville, Kentucky. And they were real active in the late 90s, early 2000s. Midwestern hardcore was kind of, when I think of Initial, I think of the Midwest. I think of Kentucky and Ohio. But this, they put out a paper catalog every, couple months or whatever. You get this paper catalog in the mail. It was like half catalog, half zine, and it always had a CD sampler with it. And this CD had a song on it that was just super catchy, super mature sounding for the kind of pop punk sound it was, the melodic hardcore sound it had. I think this was more like adult dudes from older bands that were now doing more mature stuff. But the song Dalai Lama was so fucking good. And it has a long sample in it from Caddyshack. So I'm going to try to, if I can find this, I'll link it, of course. But there's a line in this song that says, "This is it, this is all I know." And I always thought that they were talking about being into punk rock and hardcore, music in general. Like, this is what I know. I know music. And I printed that out on a label, like a label maker. And I stuck it on the front of my guitar amp when I was like, 16 or whenever this came out. And for years, for a fucking decade, that sticker was on my amp and said, "This is it, this is all I know." So, I have a soft spot. I have a kind of a nostalgic memory with that record. Then we have The Kiss of Death with The Kiss of Death. This is an EP, and this is like sludgy doom stuff. If I remember correctly, this has got kind of like I Hate God style riffs in it. And if this is the band I'm thinking about, I'll have to go back and look, and if I'm wrong, it's going to tell you right now that I'm wrong. A couple of the guys, or a guy from the band Dead Guy, started The Kiss of Death after Dead Guy. And Dead Guy was this really noisy, kind of terrifying sound hardcore metal band in the late 90s. But I think they went on to do Kiss of Death, and it's kind of sludgy, slowed down, doomy sludge type stuff, kind of like I Hate God or Grief or, Church of Misery. This came out on Tribunal Records. Tribunal was kind of a hardcore label back then. Now they are Dive Bomb Records. They discovered the metals. So then we have Krieg. Krieg, another one of those bands that I discovered early in my kind of black metal journey. When I really got into Judas Iscariot around 2000, 99, 2000. Krieg was one of those bands that was always mentioned in conjunction with Judas Iscariot, because of course Neil and Andy were friends. They did Veltmac together, and Neil was the live bass player in Judas Iscariot. Come to find out, years and years later, me and Neil are all pretty much the same age. He's like a year or two older than I am. He's considerably younger than Andy from Judas Iscariot. But I have met Neil a couple of times. He likes my band. I like his band. I always really liked Krieg, though. But I only own 2 Krieg releases. And I bought Destruction Ritual first. And Krieg is one of those bands that they have evolved so much over the past 20 years. And they sound... There's a different Krieg. Every album is a different Krieg, a different sound. And this being my introduction to them, that's the Krieg that I loved and wanted other Krieg to sound like. Destruction Ritual is fucking nasty. It is just harsh, barbaric black metal. I have this version I bought, years and years ago. This came on a Red Stream. I have no idea what kind of first pressing or whatever, I don't know. Destruction Ritual, I think, was the second Krieg full length, but it is just fucking harsh. Then, the Black House came out around 03 or 04, 06, I don't know. When did the Red Stream, when did 04. And it was the album that really pushed Krieg a little further, a little more into the known realm there. And it's a much more listenable album. And it's it has much more identity to it. It's a little deeper, a little darker. I feel like this was the one that really started to define who Krieg was. I never kept up with getting all of the Krieg releases. I've listened to them here and there. I really want to get a copy of the first one, The Rise of the Imperial Hordes. But I like Krieg. I like Neil. I'm sure a lot of you know him from his Facebook posts. He's very opinionated. He's very funny. He's a very talented writer. He writes for Decibel Magazine and other blogs and things like that. He's a good dude. He's a real good dude. So, all right. Then we have The Last Stand. The Last Stand is a hardcore band from New York City. And they are just your classic NYHC sound. Just, anthemic and in your face. Agnostic Front, Youth of Today. Just old school hardcore. It's 3/4 of the band are the dudes from Shutdown. And the singer of The Last Stand is the singer of Shutdown's older brother. It's really weird that 2 brothers share a backing band, basically. But the singer, Mike, is a buddy of mine, and we befriended each other online years and years ago. He was a Father Befouled fan. We became friends. He's come and seen us a couple of times. We've hung out. Really, really like Mike. He's an awesome guy. He goes way back in the hardcore metal scene in New York. But Last Stand fucking rules. So this is their full length. So far they have 1 full length. The Time Is Now. And if you like that old school New York hardcore sound, man, you cannot go wrong with this record. And then This Is Real is an EP that came out a couple of years ago, 2017, 6 songs. And it also Fucking rules. It might even be better than Time Is Now. I love them both. I love this band. Takes me back to being a teenager when I got into stuff like that. Really funny. I saw Shutdown. Here you go. Shutdown. I saw Shutdown when I was 16 years old. They toured the East Coast and played my town, my little town in South Georgia. And it was a hell of a show. And here I am fucking over 20 years later, and I'm good buddies with the singer of that band's brother. It's weird. I've done a lot of design work for Last Stand. I've done some t-shirt designs for Shutdown, which is just weird, full circle thing. Thank you, Internet. So, then we have Legions of Astaroth. Legions of Astaroth were a black metal band from here in Atlanta. And they were incredibly unknown and underrated. And this booklet is so fucking cool. This is their soulful length. The cover is clear. It has their logo on it. And then the back is clear. And it has their logo on it. And that's so fucking nice. It's got a killer, like really well done layout inside. Killer artwork. Anyway, Legions were this cold, fucking riffy, dark black metal band. Kind of like Nightbringer or Inquisition. And Father Befouled, we played a show with him in New Jersey in 2008. And we became buddies. Like, oh, you're from Atlanta? At the time, I was from South Georgia. But I was like, we're from Georgia. We'll have to hang out. Well, then the next year, they played a show in Atlanta with Horna. And I came up to see them. And they were fucking fantastic. And this had come out by then. It's called Rites of Somatic Death. And it came out on Enucleation Records. You can't really see that, but Father Befouled, we ended up being on Enucleation. Our first releases were on Enucleation as well, so we're just kind of all related. Anyway, two of the members from Legions of Astaroth played in Vasalith, and they got huge for a very short time. And then the main dude from both bands kind of just... He doesn't go to shows anymore. I don't think he plays any bands. I have not seen him in years. He's still around Atlanta. And the drummer of Legions also does Hellgoat, Josh, and has really pushed Hellgoat forward, and they are still playing. They started in like 2005, and they're about to go on a European tour for a month. So Hellgoat fucking rules. I talked about them many videos ago in the H's. But another local band and really good friends of mine. But Legions, man, this is a fucking killer record. It is just... It's that kind of deep, esoteric black metal. There's a lot of depth to it. I enjoyed it, though. I really enjoyed it. It's a really nice package. I want to say that is Antichrist Kramer artwork, if I remember correctly. But Legions of Astaroth, if you like cold, nasty black metal, pick that up if you see it. So then we have a bunch of CDs. We have 4 CDs by Legion of Doom, who I don't really know much about. I got all 4 of these in a trade with them directly. And what I liked was all 3 of these have Gustave Doré etchings on them, and I'm a sucker for that shit. Man, listen. Gustave Doré art, Christophe Cifidel logo, this guy's buying it. So, anyway, I traded with them directly. Back when I did my black metal band many years ago, my one-man black metal band. They hit me up, wanted to trade. I got all 4 of these, and I think they're Greek. And the best I can remember, they are not as good as they look. It's kind of Norse core, you know, standard black metal. Don't remember. But I have Kingdom of Endless Darkness, God is Dead, For Those of the Blood, and then this EP Digipack, which looks nice, called The Desecration. I don't know what order this stuff was released in. I think the 3 of these are re-releases that all came out at the same time. They are a Greek band from the mid-90s. I might need to go back and reacquaint myself with these, because I do not remember much about them. If they were awesome, I would remember them more, because I would have listened to them more. They are one of those bands from, you know, that you never hear of. You never hear anybody mention, oh man, I fucking love Legion of Doom. So, I don't know. Leviathan, the 10th sub-level of Suicide. The only one I've ever cared to own. I bought this when it came out, completely blind. I said, ooh, they're called Leviathan. That cover looks cool. I remember I bought this, and Judeo Beast Assassination, and something else all at once from Moribund. Oh, Sargeist. The first Sargeist record. All 3 classics. Anyway, this is the coldest fucking black metal record ever. It is so... It's moldy and fucking nasty and gross sounding. The beginning of the first song, man. Fucking Your Ghost in Chains of Ice. It just... That's what it sounds like. It is so cold, so grim, so nasty, so necrotic. This was one of those records that you put on, especially when I was, you know, this came out, I was like, I don't know, 23 years old or something. 22 years old. Just sink into it. Just put it on and just fucking fall into it. Fall away. And that was back before, man, I could put on a record and just fucking sit on the couch and listen to it. I can't do that shit anymore. I can't sit still without playing on my computer or playing on my phone or, you know, I wish I could go back to the time of just sitting and listening to music. It's so hard for me to do. I'm always doing something else when I'm listening to music. But Leviathan, 10th sub-level of Suicide, it's a fucking classic. It was so fucking grim and nasty. But when Tentacles of Horror came out, I wasn't crazy about it. And I wrote a so-so review on it for the Dead Tide that I talked about a few minutes ago. And some people didn't care for it, man. And I got called out. Somebody emailed me bitching about my review, and I didn't write a bad review. I said it just didn't stand up to 10th sub-level. And then I would listen to their releases here and there, and I kind of just fell apart with Leviathan. Until recently, I went back and I downloaded everything I could. And I like it. I like it a lot. But I've got to be in the mood for it. But more than anything, when I want to listen to Leviathan, I want to listen to this. So, funny story, Jeff Whitehead, who is Rest, the guy behind Leviathan, he sent me a message on Instagram one day. He liked Father Befouled, and we just started chatting, and we've been, you know, we like each other's posts on Instagram now. But a lot of you may know he's a tattoo artist, and he hit me up about last year sometime, and he was going to be in Atlanta guesting at the tattoo shop I go to, and he had seen pictures of me on my Instagram getting tattooed there, and he said, hey, I'm going to be there this weekend, come get tattooed. And I was out of town, and I wasn't going to be back in town until the night he was leaving, and we wouldn't cross paths, so that sucked. I could have got a tattoo from him, which I would really, really love to do. I like his art so much, and I like his tattoo style, that I would seriously just be like, here, draw something on my arm and fucking tattoo it. Anyway, next, Liar in Wait. Not the death metal band. This is the kind of goth rock band. This is Translations of the Lost. Came out on Profound Lore. There's only 4 songs. I can't remember. This may be the only thing they did, but it's kind of like Joy Division. Rope Sect is a popular band doing this style now. Just dark, kind of gothy, you know, post-grunge rock type stuff. But I liked it. I picked it up on someone else's recommendation. I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to really like go ape shit over it, I guess, or go back to it a lot. And I listened to it a bunch, like the first 2 weeks I got it, and I've never listened to it since. Okay, then we have Leukorrhea with Hate, Fucked, and Tortured. This is a brutal, brutal death metal band. This came out on Forever Underground. I want to say that this one is not that fucking great. It's a terrible fucking layout and font choice there. I don't remember, but I don't think this is a great one. American brutal death metal from the 90s. I don't know. Alright, so last and least, I have 2 CDs from a band called Life Before. Life Before was a hardcore-ish, metal-ish band from my hometown in the mid to late 90s, made up of some very good friends of mine. And some guys that came up in playing punk rock. We were all punk rockers. And that's what we all cut our teeth on. And these guys said, hey, we're gonna do something a little different. And they did this kind of, you know, weird metalish band. It's hard to explain what they sound like. And if I can find the find it online somewhere, I'll link it. But this is their demo. It's just called Life Before, summer demo. Released by the band. That's all the lyrics there on the left side. It's impossible to read. So they recorded it. You know, there's a little studio there in town. Cut paste. You know, there's the guys playing. I believe that was their very first show they played. There's a picture of them. John, the singer, had really high-pitched, screamy vocals. If I were to liken this to anything, I would say that it somewhere along the lines of like Prayer for Cleansing, if you know who that is. But so they never named their songs. You'll see that's called John's song, Nick's song, Matt's song. They never named their songs. They did this demo, and then everybody but the singer quit. So they got new people and put out this full length, Reflections on Tomorrow. They did not name their songs yet again, so all the songs from the demo are on this, and then every new member who joined has a song named after them. But there's pictures of guys in the studio, blah, 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 all the lyrics. So there's this label that put this out was the singer of this band's best friend started a label in order to put this out. That label is called Indianola Records, who today, 25 years later, is a pretty known name in, you know, the melodic hardcore scene. And the two of them are behind it, Matt and John. And they have been putting out albums ever since. And I think at one point they got pretty big doing it, and they've released some bands that have gone on to become bigger bands. But this was Indianola #1. And I think that if you go to, it's IND 1001, Indianola Records, you go to the Indianola website, this isn't listed. Like, it doesn't exist. There's 1,000 of these printed. The guitar player that joined after the first band members quit was one of my best friends in high school, and me and him started our first band together. And he played in my band and this band simultaneously. And that band, I don't even have a copy of the demo or anything anymore. Anyway, this is one of these bands that, you know, all the local friends fucking rallied around. And we practiced, my band and their band practiced in the same house. Matt, the guy behind the label, our buddy, his family had an empty house, like that a grandparent had lived in or something, but it just sat there empty and it had power, so we would rehearse in it. We had all of our equipment set up in the living room of this empty old farmhouse in the middle of nowhere in the country. It's pretty rad. We could practice whenever we wanted, for however late, however loud we wanted. It was really cool. But they played for a couple of years, put this out, did some regional shows, moved on with their life. But it's one of those things, you know, it's a snapshot of a moment in my life and all those guys' lives. I have not put this on in years and years and years and years, but I'm sure the second I hear it, it'll all come back to me. So I'm going to throw this on and reminisce a little bit here soon. Anyway, that's it. This is probably the longest video I've ever done. I wanted to really do a good one for you. We still got probably another entire video of L's to do. That will not be for a couple more weeks, because a week from today I'm leaving to go on tour. We'll be gone for a week. I get back, got to get back into the swing of things, and I'll start doing videos again. I'm not going to stop doing videos. I hate that there's been a month-long gap, but I love doing these videos. It's very cathartic and therapeutic for me, and I enjoy talking with everybody. So let's talk about these in the comments. Let's talk about these releases. I'll try to find links for all of them. Let's talk about what's going on. If you live in Germany or Belgium or France or England or the Netherlands, come see my bands play in a couple of weeks. So we're going to be on tour, and it'll be a lot of fun. So until then, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.